If I press that button, do I become a completely different person? I know some of us try to run from that thought. It's something that we should embrace and cherish as trans folk and as cis folk alike. So where do I lie on this debate?
These are the sorts of conversations that I really appreciate on this channel.
Hi everyone, happy Sunday. I am off for a little stroll, heading out and about on this fairly grey and miserable Sunday morning. So for those of you who are new here, welcome, hello. For those of you who have been coming to this channel for a while, you might notice today I'm going to be playing around, experimenting a little bit with the form of this particular video and a few ones going forward. So I'm going to try a few different ideas and things and see how it goes. So stick around to the end because I'm actually going to give you a little bit of a life update at the end and a new feature where I focus on a question or comment of the week. So look forward to that and I hope you'll watch to the end of today. So today I wanted to talk about a fairly common question that we ask ourselves in the trans spaces, and it's a kind of a magic button question. And it asks, if you could press a button and be magically changed into a cis version of your gender, would you do that? And it generates quite an interesting conversation a lot of the time, because I think on the one hand it's quite tempting to be like, oh hell yeah, obviously, absolutely, I would love to do that. But it does throw up a kind of an interesting philosophical response to that, because not all trans people would press that button. Now, what is this button question for? What's it about? Now, the way that I understand it, and this isn't something that I encountered in my therapy sessions or anything like that, but I think it's supposed to be a kind of a thought experiment to try to help people understand if they are actually transgender, or if they are experiencing questions and doubts about their gender and the way that they wish to express that. Is it something other than that? And I think the expectation is that a lot of trans people would say, yes, absolutely, I would definitely press that button. But as I say, it's not really that simple, because it starts to touch on that kind of question about whether or not it's good to be trans. And if you have seen several other of my videos where I'm kind of talking around my own experience with being transgender, I think I've landed on a point where I'm quite happy and satisfied with the fact that I am. It's given me a very unique experience, and I've come to kind of cherish it, even though it's been difficult. Those difficulties have taught me a lot of lessons, and I feel I've come out on the other side, or an other side. I mean, the other side might suggest that that's the end of the journey, but it absolutely isn't. I've come out on another side, I think, in a place where I'm quite empathetic, quite understanding, quite caring about other people and about myself. And so then that posits the question, if I press that button, do I lose all of that? Do I lose that whole learning experience, and do I become a completely different person? And I think for a lot of people, they would press that button, but with a little asterisk saying, yes, I'd press it, but only on the understanding that I would keep and retain my memories and my personality and my character. And then that starts to become a very different thing, because a lot of your personality and your character, if you're transgender, is built upon the fact that you're transgender. There's no getting away from it, guys. I mean, and girls, of course. I mean, that's who we are. And I know some of us try to run from that thought and they try to escape from it, but ultimately we can't. It's who we are, and we might as well embrace it. And so that button pressing thought experiment, some people liken it to a kind of an erasure of trans folk. And I kind of get that, because I think it does suggest that there's a cure to be found. And I've mentioned this many times. I don't think that being trans is a thing that requires a cure. I don't think that this is something that we should remove from the human experience. It's something that we should embrace and cherish as trans folk and as cis folk alike. It is a very different type of experience, but different can be difficult. That's for sure. So where do I lie on this debate? What's my response to this question? Well, I think if I'm going to be honest, I would have to say that I'm very much in the camp of, yeah, I'd probably press it with that asterisk. I'd probably press it if I get to retain who I am, because I don't want to erase myself. I don't want to somehow vanish from existence and become a completely different person, because that was kind of one of the points I wanted to make when I transitioned in the first place. This isn't about becoming somebody different. This isn't about changing and becoming somebody new. This is about becoming myself, but more so, but complete, Andy plus, if you will. And I feel that's absolutely been the case. I feel that through this process, I've been able to become the person that I've always dreamed of being, and that's marvelous. And I wouldn't want to give that up, even if it meant having to miss out on all of the difficult experiences, because as I say, I feel those have been formative in many ways. And so that's probably where I land at the moment. I think if I'd been asked this question several years ago, I might have a slightly different take on things, but I've experienced almost a year on hormones and several months of socially transitioning, and it's been really good. And it's also kind of one of the reasons why I feel it's quite important for me to be making these videos whilst I'm kind of out and about in the world, because I want to demonstrate this is where I exist. I'm not some abstraction in my bedroom talking about things. I am here. Here I am. I'm here in the world, in a park now, and sometimes I'm going to work and sometimes I'm in the shops, and wherever I go, I am me, and I don't want to change that. I don't want to be somebody else when I'm there, if that makes sense. I think it does. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on the button hypothesis. I hope that makes sense, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, because it really does conjure up an interesting debate with trans folk and otherwise. Like, for cis folk who aren't questioning themselves at all, if you think about your own experiences, I'm sure you've had some hardships. Would you press a button to erase those completely? For example, would you press a button to become the child of a billionaire or something like this, where perhaps you'll have had much more privilege in your life than you might otherwise have had? I don't know. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I love hearing people's variety of responses and the different perspectives that they bring to this question and to the things I talk about. So thanks very much. Now over to me in my bedroom, actually, funnily enough.
All right, okay, so welcome back to my studio. So I thought I would give you a few life updates, and as I said, I wanted to go back and have a look at one of my favourite comments from last week as well. First of all, a quick celebration of my outfit for today. I've got a really cute new top from Uniqlo, and some of you commented on my full-length picture from last week, so I think I will just put in a little full-length clip of what I'm wearing today. The top from Uniqlo, the skirt is from a Polish brand called Risk, and I will put the links to those in the description. And I also want to point out this beautiful necklace. I got this whilst I was in Krakow a couple of weeks ago from an independent jeweler, of course, and I'll put their Instagram in the comment section below, because it's a really nice place, and if you ever find yourself in Krakow, I can't recommend that place enough. So, life updates. So what's going on in my world at the moment? So I just wanted to touch a little bit on something that's going on at work, and I'm mentioning this only because it's kind of relevant, I think, to the future of me for one thing, and this channel probably as well. And that is basically, there was this big story at work recently, and it seems that my work is in a big financial trouble, and so there's probably going to be some redundancies, there's going to be some closures of some of our locations. That's really bad, and so it may well mean that it's going to affect me. I mean, it's going to affect me one way or the other, but I don't know to what extent. Is that going to mean I'm going to lose my job? Is it going to mean I'm going to get a different job? I don't know at this stage. So there's a lot of real uncertainty going on in me and my world. So that's a real problem. And I'm really unhappy about this, as you can imagine. So if I look a little bit down, a little bit stressed, and a little bit glum in the next few weeks and months, that's probably the reason why. Another thing surrounding work as well that I'll just quickly mention is that I actually do quite a lot of work in my location for what we call equality, diversity and inclusion policy and actions. Other people might know this as DEI, we call it EDI. And so I'm really happy and lucky to be working for a company that has EDI or DEI as a central theme to what it does. It's one of the things that I think a lot of the people that work for the same company as me really value about this company. And so it really pains me to see a lot of other companies basically cancelling their DEI or EDI initiatives, which is a real shame because it is something that keeps and retains staff. And in my view, if we were to drop it, we may well lose, or we may fail to attract new members of staff. And so as a cost-cutting measure, I would question that sort of decision. But anyway, that being said, I heard on the rumour mill that the global head of our EDI collective has gender critical views, which I find quite interesting because, of course, gender critical views some people may see at odds with being transgender. Now, I have to say, I have had a few people asking me outright if I have anything against gender critical people, and I don't necessarily, because there's a lot of things that they say in their talking points that I completely agree with, especially when it comes to things like gender stereotyping. As people quite rightly point out, long hair does not make me a woman. Absolutely not. I agree with that. But I do disagree with a lot of their conclusions about what they say about trans folk. So it's a little bit of a concern that we have somebody relatively high up in our organisation that has those views. But we'll see how that goes. I'm curious to find out as I learn more about the EDI team in my company. And I just think that's a reasonably good segue into my favourite comment or my question of the week. And this comes from a watcher called, I want to get this right, All That She Wants Is Another Baby. That's an interesting name. I think I know that song. And they asked me about the difference between gender dysphoria and body dysmorphia. And these are two quite different and distinct things, both of which happen within the mind and both of which have a kind of a resonance to somebody's physical body. And I try to explain it as best as I saw it, the difference between the two. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I did study psychology many, many years ago. And I did obviously do a bit of reading and research to try to make sure that what I said was accurate. And you're welcome to go and see what I said in response to All That She Wants Is Another Baby. And they responded back in kind. They thanked me for my reply and they concluded that they were both disorders of the mind, and that they were unconvinced that changing your body has an impact on your psychology is the best way to treat these conditions. And I think my response to that, and I'll write a response as well to this individual, these are the sorts of conversations that I really appreciate on this channel, by the way. I mean, I love all of my comments, I love all of my commenters, but it's these sorts of backs and forths that I think keeps me fairly grounded and humble and sane. Although some people still don't believe that, but fine, whatever. And I have to counter with my own experience. I found that by the changes in my physical body that I've seen, as small as they are, really have helped me to feel so much better about myself. I mean, for one thing, I know some of you might disagree, but I think facially I'm a little bit different. I know that my body's certainly changing. And to just kind of illustrate what I mean, on Friday, 2 days ago, I went for my third round of laser treatment. And I don't know, you might be able to see, I've got a bit of a rash here, which is why I've got I've got a bit of darkness here, a bit of stubble, a bit of a rash. I try to cover it up with a bit of foundation and BB cream, but it's still kind of there and I'm feeling a bit self-conscious about it. And it was really, really painful. And I suppose when you go through that sort of pain, you've got to be quite motivated to do that. And even though it was incredibly agonizing, the fact that I could imagine the changes that this will make in the long term to my sense of being helped me through that. And I really feel that the physical changes and the pain sometimes that I endure, it's worthwhile, because psychologically I feel so much better and so much more positive and so much more complete. I don't see how else this could have been resolved. I did come to terms with being transgender about 10 years ago, and the dysphoria and the unhappiness and disconnection between my physical self and my psychological self never went away. And I just don't see how any form of therapy is going to change that, other than the hormonal therapy that I'm currently on. This is the thing that has helped me. I mean, this isn't going to be true for everybody. It's not going to be true for every trans person, but it certainly has helped me. And I think coming to terms not just with the fact that I'm transgender, but the fact that I need to transition has really, 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 really positively helped me live my life much better. Anyway, so thank you very much to All That She Wants Is Another Baby for your comments, and I hope that this might trigger and spur a few more of you to make a few more comments and suggestions. So this is a bit of a different format in terms of how I'm presenting these videos. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. I'm going to see if I can try doing this for a few videos, because it's always interesting to have a little play around with how things go. If you really, really can't stand it, let me know. I'll be curious to see what you think. But if you love it, great. I'll keep doing it for as long as I can, even if this is a little bit more time consuming and is a bit more of an effort for me to put together. It's worth it because I love my audience so much. Okay, thank you very much. Have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.